She has that shortcut.
Yes.
And she was making the argument that persons who want to maybe do business in Ghana will take a look
This
at
was
that.
at the Ghana American Chamber of Commerce in Ghana, AmCham event. She said that it's going to be difficult.
That's what
for
she said.
businesses to come here if we pass this law.
For me as well, on that side, I have my own gripes with the Western world because they also do business with countries who are far more draconian laws as far as LGBTQ is concerned, and they are happy to still, like I said, tango with them. But then those guys, on the other hand, can also stand on their 2 feet. So the issues are interconnected.
The LGBT community, when I was growing up, I heard words like supi.
Right.
Yeah,
Supi,
I heard
supi.
word like supi.
That's 2 women.
Yes,
doing their own thing.
Yeah.
I heard words like koju besia.
That's 2 men doing their own things.
Yes.
Or somebody who's somebody who's effeminate.
Yes.
And all those. We've lived with it. So why do they want to change the laws so that they can marry?
I want to know who said that though.
No, but that's the advocacy. That's what
the advocacy is out there.
It's
not about somebody saying
no, hang on. But gentlemen, because let's speak to facts, for example. I would understand, maybe I have missed that, if there had been some petitions. I'm not too sure if that had come before.
There have been. When the bill was first proposed.
Fine.
So usually the parliamentary process is that I propose a bill that I want going forward all women not to wear wig.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And then it goes to the speaker. The speaker admits it, and then it refers it to a select committee in parliament. Right? In this case, it's the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee.
Right.
Now, the committee, in its deliberations, would then now invite the public or any other interested persons to bring their petitions, and their motions, or whatever it is to
suggestions,
and then we will see how to infuse it into. Mind you, the committee has minority, majority. When they are done with that, they now take it back to the speaker, and the speaker will now table it. Okay, in the House for the first reading. And then if there are questions that are asked on the floor of the House based on also consultations that the MPs may have done with their stakeholders in their constituencies, they go back to the committee and then have a look at it and then bring it back again after they have done the additions and subtractions for a second reading. And then they'll go back again. And then they will come back for the consideration stage and then the third reading, and then they will vote on it.
If we decide that a bill in that direction is not something the country is ready for, is willing to accept, we deny that. But to go on, I don't know. Like I said, the net is a bit too wide.
Exactly. My issue is this. As I said in my earlier submission, we know that they exist.
That's right.
We cannot do anything about how they are naturally. But for them to say now they should be allowed to marry, the state, because marriage is not, it's a legal matter. You know what I mean? Marriage is a legal matter. So that you want to change the laws of Ghana to suit the fact that you want to marry same sex. All right, that's what we are discussing. That may not be something that the Ghanaian society wants to push.
Fair.
But targeting them, because look, as a city, I've done a lot of stories about Ghana prisons. And then one of the diseases, one of the top diseases in Ghana's prisons is HIV/AIDS.
That's right.
Yeah.
And in prison today, if you hear the word or the phrase, hey,
that means that somebody is sodomizing somebody.
A man and a man
are doing something.
The kabudo.
Right.
So it is there. So even if you are not gay and you get into Ghana's prisons, the grounds, the atmosphere there may push you in.
In fact, you might be sexually assaulted.
Also because there's
raped,
no conjugal rights.
And so if we are saying that we're going to criminalize them and put them in there, the situation in there is going to get worse. Because they're already gay. And the situation there encourages gayism. And you're going to put them there. And I'm saying that it's going to make it worse. The diseases are going to come up more. So why do we punish them for that kind of... That's where my issue is. They too should not come and tell us that we should allow them to marry. Because if you look at how their marriages are conducted, why, if they know that the man and a man can marry and a woman and a woman, why is that one of them dresses like a woman and another dresses like a man during the marriage ceremony? Check all the weddings that they have.
Yes.
If a man and
Adam
a woman,
and Steve.
Yes. If a man and a man are having a ceremony. One of them would dress like a woman.
I've seen ones where they both wear suits.
But you know what I say also exists.
That is an
true.
exception.
You know,
to what we see.
The woman and the woman marrying.
I'm just saying that's not what I've seen.
No, I'm saying what I've seen too.
Sure.
The woman and the woman marrying, one of them would dress. So subconsciously, they know that is what nature has prescribed. They are just trying to force nature out of its trail. And that's what we are saying, that we have to take a look at it. And that's why this bill is going to be difficult to pass.
Listen to Honorable Samjata George in Parliament.
Our frustration is that this is not the first time this is happening. It's not the second time. This is the third time the Speaker has given such an instruction and it has been disregarded in his absence. We need to understand from the majority side what their issues with the bill are. We need to understand with those who take the chair when the Speaker gives the instruction what their opposition to the bill is. We are very well aware of people in leadership on the majority side who are reaching out to sponsors of the bill, asking us to step down the bill. Is that why the majority side is fighting against the bill? The excuse given today that the chairman of the committee is not in the chamber, so we can't take the amendment, is alien to the practice of this House, because the ranking member was present. Even government bills, when the chairman is not present, the ranking member is able to take the amendments that stand in the name of the chairman, because amendments of the committee always stand in the name of the chairman. And all the amendments, about 43 of them, that have been tabled are amendments that have been agreed between us as sponsors and the committee. And so they won't stand in my name or Honorable Bedra's name or Honorable Helen or Honorable Delasowa or Honorable Odole's name or Roxanne's name or Intim Fojo's name. They will stand in the name of the committee chair. But it does not mean that only the committee chair can move it. So if government business, the ranking member can move the amendments, how is it that a private member's bill, where the private members say we are comfortable with the ranking moving the bill, then the person in the chair says we can't take the bill because the chairman is not there and the chairman has intentionally stayed away? Will this same government that is telling us that at 3 o'clock we've stayed too long, would they not keep us here till 1 a.m. to approve frivolous loans which have brought us into this mess we are in as an economy? And taxes? Those who have gone and gotten influenced by persons who have interest in the LGBTQ should return whatever influence they have collected. Because we will fight, and the next time we address the media, I will mention names. I've been impressed upon today by my co-sponsors not to mention names. And it's out of respect for them that I'm not mentioning names. But if they continue this behavior of frustrating the bill, how can this bill spend almost 3 years? This bill was introduced in 2021. The Speaker of Parliament, they want to disgrace the Speaker. Because if you remember, at the beginning of this year, the Speaker promised Ghanaians that before the end of this year, we will pass the bill. This is calculated to undermine the authority of the Right Honourable Speaker. This is calculated to disgrace the Right Honourable Speaker, and we will not tolerate it. We will not allow this to happen. This is the last time we would accept this kind of behavior. And Ghanaians should take notes. The Christian community, the Muslim community, the African traditional religious worshippers, the National House of Chiefs who have supported this bill must take note of the actions of persons on the floor of the House who are seeking to filibuster and slow down the move of this bill. But this bill is a moving train. And for those who think that they can stand in his way, we will crush you.
That's Samjata George. There is MP for Ningo Pram Pram. He says the next time they address the media, he will mention names because he knows persons who have been induced to make sure that this does not happen and that they want to undermine the authority of the Speaker of Parliament, because at the beginning of the year, the Speaker of Parliament mentioned that the bill will be passed by the close of the year. But Virginia Palmer is the United States ambassador. Listen to her.
Ghana is a very welcome, tolerant society. Lots of interreligious harmony, a lot of interethnic harmony, and that makes Ghana strong and stable and attractive for investment. I hope it stays that way with regard to the LGBT community. And again, there's money to be made. You know, the color of your money is green or red if it's Ghanaian. But if there is discrimination or worse, then that will send a signal to not just LGBT investors and exporters, but the other American companies, that Ghana is less welcoming than I'm telling people that it is now. So I hope it will stay welcoming.
The U.S. has already threatened aid cuts and other sanctions, including visa restrictions against Ugandan officials. Ambassador Palmer fears any law that is hostile to the LGBT community has a likelihood to affect trade relations between the two countries. Out of the 54 African countries, 22 of them have legalized homosexuality, including South Africa, Botswana, Gabon, Angola, and Mauritius.
Okay, so that's the U.S. That was the U.S. ambassador. Before that was Sam George. Kamala Harris, the vice president of America, when she came here for the 3 days visit, she brought her husband, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what's that got to do with the price of fish?
I'm just asking.
I have those parallels and I'm thinking... Okay,
no, I'm just asking. She was coming to spend 3 days. She brought her husband.
What's the connection?
Okay.
What's the correlation?
No, I'm just asking.
Okay.
That's all.
I see.
Yeah.
All right.
Have I asked for too much?
I'm trying to understand. I hear that a lot. I was trying to make the connection.
Okay, it's okay. If you can't make the connection, then leave it.
All right.
Because me, I don't know.
All right.
Anyway.
You said a little earlier on about freedom of expression. So I want to ask you about what is happening in your country and homosexuality, for example, which I believe is illegal and it's punishable. I mean, why is homosexuality still illegal in your country?
The social, cultural issues, if you like. I don't believe that in Ghana so far a sufficiently strong coalition has emerged, which is having that impact on public opinion that will say, change it. Let's then have a new paradigm in Ghana.
Is that something you would get behind?
I think that it is something that is bound to happen. And when that happens...
What's going to provoke it? What's going to make it happen?
Oh, it's the activity, like elsewhere in the world. Like elsewhere in the world, the activities of individuals, of groups. I grew up in England. I went to school as a young boy in England, and I grew up at a time in England when homosexuality was banned there. It was illegal, and I lived the period when British politicians thought it was anathema even to think about changing the law, and then suddenly the activities of individuals, of groups, a certain awareness, a certain development grew and grew and grew stronger, and it forced a change in law. I believe that those are the same processes that will bring about changes in our situation. At the moment, I don't see that in Ghana there is that strong current of opinion that is saying this is something that we need to even deal with. It's not so far a matter which is on the agenda.
So it's not a matter that is on the agenda, according to President Akufo-Addo.
How long ago was this interview?
It is bound to happen. This was it's about 6 years ago.
Okay.
Where he said it's not on the agenda.
Okay.
But then also listen to the president that there will be no LGBT in Ghana. Listen to him.
This before, and let me in conclusion stress again that it will not be under the presidency of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo the same-sex marriage will be legal. The same-sex marriage will be legalized in Ghana. It will never happen in my time as president. Let me repeat, it will never happen in my time as president.
Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo there. It will never happen in his time, but 6 years before that, it is bound to happen. And then we've seen the pull and push in Parliament and also all the groups that are advocating for it. Moses Fuamweni and the rest, they are all not too excited about what's going on. I don't know what you think.
I mean, like I've said already, for me, my biggest gripe is that, yes, I understand the society that we live in, what our values are, and how we're progressing as a society, and the stance we've taken. It's a majority Christian country, so you can understand how strong that influence is. Of course, there are others who don't practice any particular religion, for example, or they might practice a religion that doesn't frown on that. It's also a reminder that if you're of the Christian faith, your faith prohibits you as a believer, what you've decided to believe in, from doing certain things. We can't always impose that on others, but as a society we can take a stance on what we believe our values should be. I'm only saying that this current conversation for me has gotten noisy. Maybe I'm a bit outdated, because when I listened to the president speak 6 years ago, that was kind of my stance, that I have not seen that immense pressure that is being purported to be in the atmosphere, that there's a lot of pressure in that direction. Maybe I have missed that, but forgive me for that. I have the same stance as the president 6 years ago, that I'm not really seeing that. If petitions and whatever have gone forward and we don't want that, that's one thing. To take it a step further, to now criminalize people who advocate and speak up, because people do get assaulted, harassed, almost killed based on their sexual preferences. They can be in their homes and they are targeted, for example. That's something that we also should be thinking about. I just think that where we are at the moment, there are a lot of pressing things. When we say we are pro-life, please look around us. Look at the children who really need our help. That's what pro-lifing is about. Making sure the future of your citizens are secured. Are we really pro-life? Let's get our priorities in order.
What is, I mean, I don't think that security just relates to economic security. Health security is also important. William just mentioned an example in the prisons, where when you hear pay, you know that a man is doing the and for me, I have followed a story where in Kopi JHS, for example, a social studies teacher, Natoma Otabel, who was supposed to teach the children how to live well in society, actually sodomized 19 of his students and threatened them not to say. It took one of the boys' parents to see, and then they did the tracing, and then they realized that he had sodomized one teacher, 19 people, and he did that under the cover of religion. So he was their SU teacher, sort of, prayers. So the parents had very little to suspect of him. And if you look at the trajectory, it's becoming normalized amongst us. Go to the Jamestowns, the Chokos of this place, go to Nungwa, go to Teshi, and you find people, showing it off. People are bleaching, so for me, bleaching has its own effects. Having a natural kind of knowledge has its own effects. And then you also have, the attendant effects that come to it. Look at our health system and look at how it is even unable at this time to take care of the rest of us who are not bleaching, not smoking, not doing this, not doing that, all the other things. Look at what's happening at the renal, department. We haven't even finished talking about people sniffing glue. Now we're talking about laughing gas. So we have a hydra-headed problem within our health space. So if we talk about what's the term you used earlier? Pro-life.
Pro-life, yeah.
Pro-life is related to security, and the health is important. I also don't think that you can go to the United States and United Kingdom and go and tell them about polygamy. They will not listen to you. They will not agree. They will feel very insulted if you actually walk to them and spoke about it. And you made a very strong point. The US deals with Islamic states.
That's right.
Have they ever bothered to... Do you have the ambassador, for example, in any of those places stand like Virginia Palmer here to say that they will lose business? You dare not go there because they know that there's Sharia law. But I don't blame them. I blame our leadership because we have bended too much so that we are even willing to sacrifice our culture and tradition, because of the little that a few would get. Trust me, we are not poor.
Yeah.
It is bad management and bad leadership that has brought us on our knees. And this has not been done just within this short period. It's been done to us over time. Over time, where people are just interested in what they can grab and not what they can help the people, to get and all of that. We brought this upon ourselves. We have cheapened ourselves to the point that anybody can come and say anything to us. We are cheapening ourselves to the point that if you are a married man, right, and you had borrowed from everybody or cheapened yourself so much, somebody could just walk into your room because he's richer than you or more powerful than you, ask you to walk out so that he can make out with your wife. That's the state in which we find ourselves. We have cheapened ourselves so much that we have people talking to us and even telling us to alter our culture and tradition. The same culture and tradition that we want to spend $50 million to invest in. The same cultural tradition that we're telling people that, okay, but let's do funeral tourism, right? Funeral tourism is not part of our culture. Have you ever seen, So we are walking contradiction. We're busy talking about culture, tradition, year of return, beyond the return. What are the people returning to? Are they returning to what they already know? Because elsewhere, if they come from the US, they already know what LGBTQI is. They would not come. They don't need to come here to be schooled about LGBTQI, right? If they come from the UK, they don't need to come here to be schooled about what LGBTQI is. So if they are coming down and there is really no difference in what they already know, why should they come down in the first place? What are they coming home to? What are they returning to? So it's a very critical point that we have to ask. Not, for me, human rights, yes, but also globalization. How do we localize the globalization so that it benefits us more? Yeah. These are the conversations that I think we should be having.
I think that, and as I've said, and I keep saying this morning, we've been with them, we are with them, and we're going to continue to live with them. Helen was asking, at what point did it become an issue? It became an issue when some people in this country started putting up billboards, they started having advocacy meetings, they started pushing for A, B, C, and D, that they want to marry. And we are saying that in Ghana, the law cannot, as I said, marriage is a legal issue. Our laws cannot allow you same-sex people to marry. So that one, they can't get it. But I'm against criminalizing it, because if you, crime must come with punishment. It doesn't come with compensation, because it's not a legal civil suit. It comes with punishment.
That's right.
And that punishment can be custodial. And I'm saying that if you criminalize them and even say they should do community service, and the person is not able to do the community service, what next? You still have to incarcerate the person. And I'm saying our jails are already cultivating same-sex, if you like, sexual activities that are evidence on the ground show that is leading to a lot of diseases. So talking about criminalizing the whole thing, I have an issue with it because of the health and, if you like, all the problems that it will bring. But that also doesn't mean that the state should legalize same-sex marriage, same-sex that. But they themselves, they know that naturally it must be a man and a woman. Their actions even show.
William, quickly on a health front.
If you ask them, because when are you Oba, when are you Obama? If you don't believe in Oba and Obama, how is it that in your relationship you call one man and another woman?
On the health front, there had been some false statistics that had been bandied about. And the reason why I want to highlight what the statistics are, as far as this is from the Ghana AIDS Commission themselves, these numbers, because the issue of HIV is also something that is quite scary, the numbers that we're seeing. And there was a false statistic that I'd seen on social media some months back that 80% of the cases in Ghana were attributed to homosexuality. And Ghana AIDS Commission says actually it is, by their figures, it is some 18% of the cases. A bulk of them, they say, are transmissions from heterosexual men to heterosexual women. And so something that is also quite important is that we put out true and accurate figures so that we don't lose the ball on the fight against HIV. If people start to get the impression that only men who have sex with men are getting infected, we drop the ball massively.
Massively. I don't think that's the argument.
No. Johnny, bear with me one second. Please bear with me.
The argument is that it is not just men who have or sex with men who raise their numbers.
Sure.
But they stand a greater risk.
Yes, that is true.
Even for men who have anal sex with women.
They stand the greatest risk.
Right. Because of the orifice.
That's right.
And all of
that's one argument. Yeah, so that's something that they should bear with me. William, please bear with me. Let me make this point because it's important.
Go ahead.
Listen.
Make the point.
Let's also in our reportage be truthful, because the repercussions of putting out some of these fake numbers and scaremongering is that we lose the real facts are also there. So all I'm saying is that when I saw that 80% going around, I knew it was false. 18% is also not a small number. It's contributing to the numbers. But we're told by health professionals, doctors, that actually the bulk of it is from heterosexual men to heterosexual women. My argument is that let's start being truthful in our reportage and be factual. That way we don't think, oh, actually, young ones come like, oh, this one there is for the gays, this disease is for the gays, when actually the highest number is not. So as we have this conversation and we expand the tentacles, we introduce facts, we have dispassionate conversations,
but
and
Helen,
we think forward.
But Helen, you also know that there are people who are bisexual.
Sure.
All right. Who they are bisexual because they want to hide. They want to hide. They want to hide under the fact that they have heterosexual relationship. And then they fool everybody, so people think that,
we don't
this
have
one,
them to 18%.
This one, yes.
I'm sure there are people who are even married.
Yes. So there are people who are gay, but they also have female or the opposite sex as their partner. So you classify them. And so they may pick the infection from their gay partner
and come and give it
to somebody else.
That's also possible.
So that is also a fact that must be
there are some men who are now bypassing the female highway. Into the
superhighway. But I believe that's a crime according to our laws.
Yes. Section 104.
And that also contributes to the whole kabodo.
Section 104.
Right.
So if you look at the 18% on the surface, when we go to the practicals, some gay men are hiding behind marriage and doing the gay thing. So you put them in the gay space.
That is fair. All I'm saying, let's use facts, and that way we can,
what you are also saying is
it's true. Yeah, so that we can be careful.
There are also men who are not gay. But as I said, they are bypassing the highway and entering the superhighway and causing trouble. Because that place, if you enter there, it will give disease.
So this is Speaker Michael Quay. At the time when he was Speaker of Parliament of the Republic of Ghana in the 7th Parliament. This is what he had to say. Listen to him.
Speaking for yourself, Professor Michael Quay, as Speaker of Parliament, if tomorrow the Attorney General were to inform you the Cabinet has approved an amendment to the Criminal Offences Act, in particular the section that describes as an offence unnatural carnal knowledge, and that you as Speaker must preside over the process of the reading the amendments in the first reading, second reading, and third reading of Parliament, would you resign as Speaker?
I will not preside over this. You see, there's a time when a man or a woman must be guided by some principles.
So in that circumstance, you would leave Parliament?
If it happens, and I know it will not happen, because we are in Ghana.
But if it happens?
If it should happen, just by way of conjecturing,
yes,
I will leave.
You leave if the Speaker
I will not preside over that. No. I will not preside over that, and I will not be part of that. It will be a matter of serious principle, including my Christian ideals. You know, I've told you, homosexuals, Ghanaians recognize them as also having rights. Like thieves.
So we don't have to beat them up. Yeah, you already made that point.
If anybody should bring such a thing in Parliament, and I have to preside over that, I would rather resign than subscribe to these delusions. In Ghana, the Akan saying, Sani Enwanga, or no British Prime Minister, no, Obetue. On your bar, no Bemaba. Yes. So, look, it's a phenomenon calculated by Satan to destroy God's best formation. That's the human being.
That's interesting.
Yes.
So it's evil.
Evil. Very, very evil. Dangerous. The church cannot allow it. God loves the sinner, but he hates sin. We love them, but we will treat them, and get them out of that miserable situation.
So that was Speaker Michael Quay, 39 minutes after 8 here on 3FM 92.7. He says if it had happened under him, he wouldn't have presided over that debate and he would have walked away. This was 5 years ago. Said he would have walked away because this is calculated by Satan to destroy the world, and it is very evil and dangerous. But here's it. 5 years ago, the Russian police broke up a gay pride protest in St. Petersburg. Listen.
Russian police detained as many as 30 gay rights activists who took part in an unsanctioned rally in St. Petersburg. A few dozen activists had gathered at Palace Square in defiance of a ban. City authorities had turned down their request to hold a parade, so each participant demonstrated alone in a bid to avoid the protest being called a gathering. I came to Palace Square today to support the LGBT community and myself. I'm very tired of the discrimination and the thought that I'm not allowed to walk out and say that I feel bad about it. My country doesn't want to hear that I feel bad. It doesn't care. Police detained campaigners who unfurled rainbow flags or held placards, dragging them into a police bus. Homosexuality was considered a crime in Russia until 1993. And in 2013, Russia passed a law banning the spread of so-called gay propaganda.
So, Russian police broke up a gay pride protest in St. Petersburg. America continues to deal with Russia in business. The U.S. ambassador says if we go ahead and pass a bill, we will lose businesses.
Well,
Ajana 1,
you see, a
Ajana
lot of
2.
big businesses too are owned by some of our brothers in the whole that space.
Kabudo.
And so if they know that Ghana will not entertain them, they won't bring the business.
Don't bring the business.
That's what I think the ambassador is saying. Because if you look, there are some industries that are literally run by them.
In the 60s, you were assembling boats, according to the Daily Graphic. You were assembling boats in this country in the 60s, and the whole world was buying boats from you.
Assembling TV.
In the 60s, you were assembling TVs and radio sets and buses, right? In the 60s, you were doing regatta in the Kole Lagoon. In the 60s, you were doing a lot of things. What happened? So that now you have become a beggar to the point where even your and I use the analogy that you could be so poor to the point that somebody could come and ask you to excuse you and your beautiful wife and him so they can make out, so you can get something small to feed your family. The height of disrespect, and that's what we are allowing.
For me, that bothers me. And even as somebody who really thinks this bill should be dropped so we can focus on a lot of pressing things, sometimes when I listen to the West, that's why I do that analogy. They still do business with the Arab world, but when they, when it comes to us, they're able to,
because they know that you are broke and poor,
exactly.
and you are irresponsible.
And for me, that is really what pains me, is that when we go on the global stage, we can't dictate much. We don't have a lot of power, and that really, think about when COVID came. As an African continent, we couldn't mobilize ourselves and also take care of ourselves, come out with a vaccine. We're always going to be on the back foot, and that pains me a lot.
Because each time your president gets an opportunity to speak out there, he wants to beg for money. Repatriation, give us this, you owe us that, give us this, give us money to fight global warming, every time begging.
Yeah, your ability to protect your tradition and your culture also depends on your economic strength. More or less.
Yes.
Because over the years, we're asking in the 60s what happened. From 66 through to maybe 81, look at the political history of Ghana. The military came and were targeting business people who were actually into industry. And so we couldn't build the economy.
Sure.
To the extent that even now, we are still targeting businessmen.
Yeah.
This morning you mentioned the Indus and the Dufors and so on and so forth. When they are collapsing, instead of the state to hold their loins and just get them up, if whoever does any wrong should be punished, but the business
take the people out.
Yes, take the people out.
Further the business.
Sort them out and prosecute and punish them if they are guilty. And so this is the perception that and the fact, in fact, not the perception, the fact of our story as a country. So going forward, if we want to protect our tradition and our culture, we should also build the economy, because see, this gay thing that we're talking about, it has a lot of financial implication. Young people are easily lured into it because they are hungry. You mentioned certain areas along the coast.
Yes.
How did it get there? Because the people who come in and when they get there, they give them good money.
Yeah, good money, and buy them Corolla and things.
Yes.
Rent for them.
If the person is hungry, they will easily fall. And I know a lot of young Ghanaians are also going to countries that are practicing this thing, and they are getting the visas and going and getting married to some of the people out there, and their families are benefiting. So poverty can make you do some of the base things that you don't want to do. So as a country,
I also want to add very, very quickly, the last World Cup was held in Qatar, right? Quick one before we go on the break. Because of how we're now in a global village, if you will. And that's a place where, the alcohol conversation came in. I'm not saying they were beaten into submission, but at some point they also had to make concessions. What I'm trying to say is that as the world progresses, I'm never encouraging that every country should now bend and yield and accept everybody else's culture. But you start to see that in order for there to be some synchronization, sometimes you bend a little bit, you tweak a little bit. For example.
In Dubai, the restrictions are there.
Yes.
In Dubai, the restrictions are there.
Yes.
But there's also an area where I have cousins who have gone for peacekeeping.
I've been to Dubai a number of times, and there are restrictions. They allow tourists, to feel free because they understand that my culture is different to yours.
But there are restrictions.
But there are
There's some that you can't. Some lines you can't cross.
But people were even surprised by the stance that Qatar took after a while to be able. Bear with me, William. Bear with me. I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That even their strong stance. Gentlemen, even their strong stance at some point they were able to bring it down a bit. All I'm saying is that on a global stage there are some bends.
It was not perpetual. What?
Fine.
Relax. It's
a small analogy.
No, what is being sought now is perpetual,
like law.
Fair, but what I'm saying is, 50 years ago, it would have never been a contemplation.
I'm saying that what is being sought now is a perpetuity.
Fair,
right? What was done for the World Cup,
yes,
even with all the restrictions, was just for a small period.
Fair, but does that mean that maybe in the subsequent ones to come, they might have further restrictions?
You cannot go. If I go to the UK today, okay, and I take, let's say I'm not married,
sure,
and I take Janet there first as my first wife, right? And then in 6 months, I get money again and come and pick Amaka as my second wife. And then I come and bring you after another 6 months, my third wife. And the UK authorities get to know that I have 3 wives and I'm living with all of them. I will be a candidate for jail. No debate. No bending for me.
Fair.
No fact that I have been able to give birth with all of you and my children have become UK or US citizens and I'm the one taking care of them. They would put me in jail, and if you say you can't take care of the children, they'll put my children in a care home or whatever it is. Which bending are we talking about?
My point still remains.
They won't bend. We're talking about fellow feeling. They won't bend.
My point wasn't that, but you've taken it to a different place. But what I was trying to say is that globally we're connected. We'll see certain concessions being made in certain areas. That's all I'm saying.
You should not lose your identity because you want to belong.
That is exactly what I said in my initial statement. That nobody should lose their culture.
Yes, because you want to belong.
But there are certain concessions that I'm seeing being made.
Because you want to belong, don't lose your culture.
Fair.
Personally, I don't think that somebody claiming to be a lesbian or gay should go to jail by virtue of that. That is the opinion of the Catholic Church. I'm a Catholic. Second Deputy Speaker who is here is also a Catholic. We are Catholics. And the law is very clear. And I don't think that what the church has said, I should hold a contrary view to it. The church says that by the culture of Africans, we are against
another Catholic.
Oh, another Catholic is here. The church is
the seminarian who ran away from.
Oh, okay. My brother is also a Catholic. So the Catholic Church.
Another Catholic.
Oh, yes. That's another Catholic Church. That's what the Catholic Church is saying. Cardinal Texan just spoke about the fact that if somebody is a gay, must the person go to jail because of that? And I mean, personally, I don't think that somebody claiming to be a lesbian or gay should go to jail by virtue of that. And I agree with you.
Okay. How minded is the House with the bill before you now? So you didn't. How minded?
How minded? Want me to say?
How minded is?
He's worrying me.
How minded is the Parliament?
So there's Alexander Penyomakin there with Komla Kluche. We'll take a break at this point, and one of my senior friends asked me the other time that you like appointing kakra and goat and things and fufu, and that if the goats were gay, would you have appointing kakra every day? Because is it test tube goods?
Oh, we'll go vegetarian kakra.
You and who? Because we'll take a break. When we return, we'll pick your calls on this one quickly, and then we'll switch the subject. This is Sunrise here on 3FM 92.7. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Mothers are the backbone of our families, and they deserve to be celebrated every day.